The coming session is a panel discussion of our award winners. And now let's welcome the panelists. We have Alex Wong, Director, Engineering Projects from CLP Power Hong Kong Limited. Welcome, Alex. And next we have Architect Ada Fung, BBS, and Chairperson of the Committee on Building Information Modeling from Construction Industry Council. Welcome, Ada. Next, we have Wilfred Au, Director, Planning and Design from Urban Renewal Authority. Welcome, Wilfred. Next, we have Eric POON, Director, Works and Contracts from Urban Renewal Authority. Welcome, Eric. And we regret to inform you that originally we have Isaac Lee, BIM Manager from Carey Properties Limited. However, unfortunately, he just got an urgent business meeting, so he left the venue. We regret to inform you this news. And next we have our facilitators, Dickson Mak, Associate Director from Strategic Building Innovation, bimSCORE. Dickson. And also, okay, now, so it's time to let Dickson to lead the panel discussion. Dickson, please. Thank you.
Thank you. Thank you very much. Well, good afternoon, everyone, and thank you for the panelists to still stick around. Well, I'm sure Carey's Properties representatives have another important meeting to make another BIM project to be more successful. So we understand that. But, well, first of all, how many of you, which still here, is your first time to a Autodesk BIM Awards? Anyone is the first time? Oh, there are a few. So most of you are not, and you guys probably would find the format of this year's award is quite different. It is excellent to see all the wonderful videos just now of the hard work of the different awardees and the honorable mentions that they have worked on all these years. But then more importantly now is that we have more is for the panel discussions. And the time is actually we provide a very good ample of time. And the purpose, I think, for Autodesk is, yes, it's great that we celebrate the success and the wonderfulness of all the good works that you have done. But more important, for these leaders on stage here, what can we contribute or give as a experience or even sharing to you all? So that we all, as an industry, can move forward and can keep Hong Kong going forward and really leading, even in the region. I think that's really the whole purpose for Autodesk to change the format a little bit, which is great. And so today, we're going to be focusing on 5 questions, okay? And each of the representatives will be also providing their perspectives and even share some insights with us. And I will also be facilitating to even have some interaction, and hopefully you all will be able to learn from it, and or even to take away back to your organizations to make some change in your organizations. So the question number 1, which I'll go through the questions first. So question number 1, what is the BIM culture of your organizations? So this will be great to hear, because BIM is not just a tool. I'm sure we all know that. BIM indeed would be a change in knowing why we want to do it. So its objectives has to be really clear. And then also knowing it's the organization and process change. So we would love to hear, what's the culture within your organization? We regard a group development or self-learning. Question number 2, what are the biggest challenges of your projects? So not just limited to the project they have successfully delivered, which we welcome, but also in general, projects in, for example, Hong Kong, the ecosystem or the supply chain that we are working with. Any challenges? So it's not just about, oh, I could not use this tool, Autodesk tool give me this trouble. Surely welcome if there's any. But more is in the people, in the using of the technology and achieving the performance that you want. So any of these that have challenges you want to share. And question number 3. So what benefits you found on cloud technology and BIM? So in the implementation of it, what are the benefits? Not just everyone say, hey, big data, cloud, BIM. These are the keywords that maybe we all are very familiar with. But more importantly, if you go and talk to your colleagues, you would say, hey, I'm using BIM in cloud. It's like, so what does it do? What would it make my life better? So what benefits does it bring? So we'd love to hear on their projects, what have they actually achieved? And question number 4 would be, what are the KPIs, key performance indicators you use to measure performance of your BIM project? I'm sure from the different projects, especially from URA, there will be a lot to sharing on that. And question number 5, what is the long-term BIM development plan of your organizations? Yeah, that will be really good, is to actually echo what Dr. Chen was saying in the beginning. Hong Kong very unique and also very successful in many, many ways, but also one thing which is really important to us, professional services hub. Yeah. How can we continue to be a successful professional services hub? And that will be the idea as a long-term BIM development plan for an organization. So these are the 5 questions we will go through, okay? All right, so we first start with the first questions. So what is the BIM culture of your organizations? To Alex from CLP perspective.
Thank you, Dickson, for the question. CLP is now providing electricity supply to over 60 million people in Hong Kong. And so we have a long history in Hong Kong, but we always try our best to explore new ways of doing things, try to explore new technology, try to uplift our operations in terms of safety, in terms of supply reliability, and other operational excellence. We have been using BIM for our construction projects for some years, including our award-winning projects at Queen's Hill this year. And in my opinion, to cultivate a proper culture within the organization for the further promotion and wider adoption of BIM in the organization, I think the first thing we need to have is the management support. We need to have the management commitment, providing the resources and all kinds of resources and support required for the implementation. And also including establishing a clear strategic vision, such as and including a roadmap for implementation of BIM in various stages of the asset life cycle. And also to our staff, we also let them know what is BIM about, what benefit it can bring to them and also to the organization as a whole. We need to provide all sorts of support, including training and some sharing and other opportunities that they can let them know what is going on in order to have their support for implementing this new technology and some innovation application throughout the organization.
Thank you very much. So it sounds like there's the management support, and in fact, I think this is more from the top down is one of the approach, but more importantly, not just you force it down, but then how you ensure they understand the value that they can then continue and grow on their own and really adopt it. So that's great to learn about that. So maybe from a URA perspective, maybe Eric, can you share a little bit on the URA?
Thanks, Dickson. In URA, since 2016, we have decided to mandatorily require all our redevelopment projects, revitalization projects, to use BIM in design and construction. When we make these decisions, our training managers has arranged a lot of BIM talk, I would say, and some internal training for our staff, for our top management, in fact. Then we are trying to growing gradually, and even, I would say, organically, because we have a lot of implementation opportunities. We try to cover all the development process to use BIM. which including design, visualization, construction, and even we extended to the facilitator management this year. And as well as we would like to develop the BIM GIS integration. And even so, we have one business is called rehabilitation. We're trying to make use of scanning to build up the model to use in our rehab works. So you can say we can from the top that we need to use BIM. But from my perspective it's better to have the staff. They find it useful. They find it funny. And then they will automatically find a way to use BIM, to find the advantage of these technologies. And that's, I think, will be a better culture to us.
Thank you, Eric. Yeah, I think that while we have the top-down support, as CLP have demonstrated, but as you also mentioned, is then how people should realize the value and the benefit, just like what Eric just mentioned as well. So maybe at this moment, from CIC, Ada, from your perspective, the culture of BIM, you have been seeing the development from no culture to some culture. So what do you think of the BIM culture? What do you think, how do you define it in Hong Kong right now?
Actually, thanks for this question. First of all, about CIC. CIC is formed or is to be, CIC is built by the industry and for the industry. So we have to serve industry, and our mission or culture is to drive BIM adoption in Hong Kong. We talk about BIM. And we see ourselves as the coordinator and facilitator of BIM in Hong Kong. That is to say, we would help to promote BIM adoption, set standards for BIM, and also provide training services and accreditation for BIM personnel in Hong Kong. So I think in a nutshell, this is what we are. Coming to this award, because we see the lack of AM/FM applications in Hong Kong, so this is working hand in hand with EMSD to apply the EMSD standards to the ZCP project and see how it can be applied to a non-government asset to test it. So we hope by this action, we can also help cascade this message and also adoption for BIM asset management and facility management to the industry. So this is one of the aims. We work and lead by example as well. And talking about driving BIM, of course, we would like to see as many BIM adopters in Hong Kong as possible. And I'm sure all of you sitting here are BIM leaders. So I can share with you something else later on. But talking about CIC itself, we do place a lot of effort and also emphasis on our staff as well. So there will be some kind of training courses or experience sharing with the colleagues in CIC, also to facilitate the BIM culture in CIC itself. Thank you.
Great, thank you very much. So for culture has to be cultivated, it takes time. So as CLP and URA actually, and CIC of course, started some time ago. But more importantly, if we actually, for all the organizations here, for you, if you have to convince your colleagues to go along to do this BIM with you, you need to really demonstrate the benefits. And so with that in mind as well is then how do we have the development? So if your organization currently do not have a training per se, please recommend to your management. CIC have a lot of support to provide the training. So indeed, they can actually provide that support for you and your teammates.
Also CITF funding.
And CITF funding, of course. Good time to remind everyone on that. Now, question number 2. What are the biggest challenges of your project? So again, it certainly welcome is for this project or other projects. In this case, maybe we'll start from URA, from Wilfred. Maybe we start with you.
Well, let me share in two perspectives. The first one is how BIM really solved the challenge of the project. From receiving the orders from government to take up tasks, we understand there is low building plan. Okay, all the building plan lost in the World War II. but we are doing except POON's projects, most of the projects are new projects, but this is a large-scale A&A project. So we've developed a plan, and also all these building elements are grade 3 architectural buildings. So how can we deal with it? So the BIM really help us, okay? The first scan and then turn into BIM model, and then all these cycle started. So I would really appreciate the whole team give us the opportunities to test out the benefit, the real benefit. I'm not saying the cost is one of the KPI we are looking at, okay? But the challenge is you do a works in a old heritage building, how you do it precisely. And cost is sub-product. I can share with you that some of the, one of the advanced work we completed, we only spent about less than 1/3 of the contingency. So this is one aspect I think BIM really helped us to take the challenge. Okay, then I share another perspective. When we push, okay, that's like the corporate culture, we try to promote the industry to use BIM. There are forces counteract from external and internal, okay? Externally, there are consultants really keen and good at BIM, then they use more. How about those, a little bit reluctant? It's a challenge. We take really a year to cultivate. Let's use it, okay? For the contractor, I'm glad they still there, okay? We ask them to provide us BIM model or we don't pay, okay? So our payment is a BIM model payment. It's hard, but gradually they also develop their team. So the culture from the external part seems a little bit slow, but getting pace. For the internal part, I would say we cannot force. Top down is one of the first action, but to make it success is bottom up, right? Just like Dickson, you mentioned. So it's them to find the benefit, not our top management talk to them, this is the benefit. It's them to find the problem and then use BIM to solve it. So whenever whenever we give them a questions or problem, they use BIM to resolve it, and we see the solution as the benefit of the solution will be the KPI. Okay, so I think that's what we share from the Central Market Revitalization Project.
Thank you. From a CLP perspective?
Talking about our project, it is designed to build a power substation to provide electricity supply to the northeast part of new territories for some of the public housing estates. Our experience is that nobody wants to have that substation in their vicinity. So there are challenges in acquiring the site and also building facilities. So we encountered problems like there was a site constraint pushing for more compact design, and also because of the need from the government and other infrastructure builders, they only allowed us a very tight schedule for building our substation, which complies a lot of infrastructure facilities, including the transformers, the switchgears. We also need to lay the cables from the remote end to the new substation for the energization. So there are a lot of challenges during the projects, from the planning to the construction and also the commissioning stages. So with the use of BIM, we can provide a platform to allow our engineers and the architect working more closely together to work out this compact design in a more efficient way. There are also a lot of coordination, both internal and external. So with this BIM platform and application, it provides us a much more efficient way for us to do so, to tackle the challenge ahead. And one point that I also want to add is about safety enhancement. with BIM, we can let our contractors and our own workforce to visualize the construction activities. We are now promoting a concept called critical control in our construction safety and also in our operational safety in other parts of the power system. So with this BIM model in place, we are able to identify the critical control point and implement the control, also the mitigation measures to improve safety. This is one of the key objectives and also the benefit that we want to bring to our workforce, to our contractor, to overall uplift the safety performance of the industry.
Great, thank you. Ada, anything to supplement from a CIC perspective on that?
Well, from CIC's, for this project with EMSD, I think the challenges lies in integration between the BMS and also the new BIM system. This is one of the challenges. And then creation of the as-built model by laser scanning and also as-built drawings, another challenge. And identify the key assets to be tagged by RFID. So these are some of the key challenges. But I would think that in the field, the practical difficulties or challenges would be ensure site safety in the operation, like laser scanning, because it's not only physically what you see here, you have to open up the raised floor, also the false ceiling, and to check if there's any live electricity before you do the scanning. So be careful about safety, safety first. I think this is one of the advice that we give to those in this field. And then for other challenges, how can we cascade and apply this AM, FM, BIM to the industry? I think that would be the challenge for the industry.
Great. So this is a very good segue for us to mention, actually, Strategic Building Innovation, SBI, bimSCORE, have been working with CIC. And in fact, CIC commissioned us to do a BIM adoption survey for the Hong Kong industry. Actually, what we just heard from the challenges or the BIM culture itself is something that we found out, how are we going to change our teams, supply chain, to be less about compliance driven. Not because you are a thing, please use it, please, or you must use it or you won't get paid. That's one way. But then actually value driven. I think we all talk about other values. Everything of the challenge and the benefit that these panelists mentioned is not about, oh, we removed so many variation orders or clash free, no problem on site, but it's about how can we deliver a better design that people would accept? People won't say, I don't want the substations. Or, oh, it's just that about that, yeah, we revitalize the building, but how can we ensure that it brings the value that it could do and still maintain it? And then at the end, I think from Ada reminder, even safety, actually operator. So it's not really about what happens during the construction, it's really the value it brings upstream and downstream. So from compliance-driven mindset to value-driven mindset, something that we have found, and later on we can talk more about that. And also one very important thing is actually what CLP mentioned. It's a BIM-led workflow. Like you use the BIM as a platform to really discuss about it. Same thing with URA, I'm sure, that really allow you to work with a constraint but arrive with the system. Really it's about changing from a double handling, oh, you want a BIM, I'll do 2D and then I'll do a BIM for you. Actually, that's what we found that could be a challenge in Hong Kong. But then it's, why don't you just start with it? Please, you will get benefit from it. So these owners have demonstrated that visions and that motivations. So thank you for that. Question number 3. So what benefits you found on cloud technology and BIM? Maybe in this time, if you don't mind, if we start with CLP side.
I'm not an expert in IT. But I think in general, in CLP, we are migrating towards the cloud technology, including the application of BIM and wider scope of application of various technologies. With adoption of cloud technology, I think the obvious benefits that bring to us is about reducing the limitation of the hardware. And also the greater accessibility of data from remote over the internet, as well as improve security. I think that this is very, very, very important point. You can imagine if a public utility like CLP, if our IT network is compromised by, then the consequence will be very, very serious. So we pay very high attention to IT security, no matter it's on BIM application or in other software applications.
Great. Thank you. Maybe from Wilfred, any input on that?
I share with CLP's. The accessibility is very important because now we work in mobile phone, iPad, and with all this BIM model, you know the size, okay? You cannot deal with it by using typical hardware. The second thing is, to me, I'm not an IT person, but building information model, it gives me an insight that there are models that can contain information. You put in time, it becomes 4D. You put in cost, it becomes 5D. What you're going to put inside the model will create another value, just like what you mentioned. We are looking at the value that we can create if we put some information about the vibrancy, urban decay event into a model. But this is something right now we're talking about BIM of a building. How about moving out to an environment, a district we are looking at? So we can see the potential of this information. Yes. But how we can put it, maybe, well, we are calling it express of interest. Anyone can, feel confident to proceed with this direction. We are welcome proposal, okay?
That's great. Well, you guys heard that. Welcome the proposal on any great ideas. So Eric?
My own view is you can't avoid the cloud technologies. In our projects in the 618 Shanghai Street, we use BIM 360 to have a common environment, common data environment to share information, to keep the record. And then we transmit that record to the spilled one. And we use the forger to as a model viewer. And we share, integrating all the information in anywhere. So how are you going to do that? What we're aiming is you can access the system anywhere. Of course, you have security problem. And that's why I bring my IT colleague into my team. Then he have to solve it. You see, you can't just stay as it is. We have to looking forward. Our FM platform is not only just served for one project. We are aiming that that platform is going to serve all URA future projects to keep all premises. You can see the volume or all the information, the data, sensor, BMS system. We want to create it, then they can transmit the information seamlessly from a virtual entirety to the physical access. And as well as you can control everything in headquarters. How are we going to do that? Without a cloud technology. Otherwise, you're going to have a server in everywhere. So you have to think forward a little bit. You can see the benefit. Of course, you have problems. But looking forward, I would say you have to do it. Just like your mobile phone. Who said it? You don't have security problem. You're using everyone now. So my opinion is we have to explore this kind of technology to how to maximize the use also.
Ada?
Well, that's very interesting. I think cloud technology is something which, share Eric's point, cannot avoid. Must be using it. And it allows you to access your data information from a single source, anywhere, anytime. So I think this is a must. But if you're concerned about cybersecurity, data security, that's something you have to address. And there are other tools like blockchain that you may use. And also for CIC, we define BIM as BIM, BIM, plus all other associated technologies associated with the industry. And if you look at our industry, we have construction 2.0. We have smart city 3.0, industrialization 4.0, and Japan's advocating society 5.0, where we would be integrating cyberspace and physical space. Now, so you look for the future. This is something which we must use, and how we use it wisely in a secure way and smart way is something we have to explore and not to avoid. So I think there's something which we must do. But looking at technology itself is not only our industry. In a smart city, if we talk about technology, we have property, we call it PropTech. For medical application, we have Meditech. For law, we have LawTech. And we look also for other societies in Hong Kong, like LCM, we're looking at using IT or virtual world with a contract and dispute management as well. So everything is going cyber. So all these things I can see will be integrated in a more interactive way than only building or beyond building itself, but for the city. And then for mobility, we have smart mobility, smart people. So a lot of these things will be integrated. So I would really like to see Hong Kong as how we can capitalize on this use of cloud technology and make it work for us in a wise way.
So thank you all. I think the idea of accessibility is inevitable. You need to have more accessibility. But by doing so, you need to use technologies like cloud. And I think one very good input from Eric just now is you don't shy away from the problem while there are actually benefits. You just don't stop there, just like using your phone or using PayMe or using WeChat Pay. You still use it. Sometimes I also worry, like, would it actually, is my money still there when someone actually stole it? You never know. You never check your account every day, right? But we use it. We still have a risk. So, but the idea is why we have to have security, because there are values. That's why we want to secure it. So I think this mindset is important. If it brings value, we need to go for that. So great. Thank you for the input. Now, question number 4. What are the key performance indicators you use to measure the performance of your BIM project? So we'll start with Eric on this side.
Well, as I said, we just start the BIM adoption in 2016. Since then, we just have 1 and 2 projects complete the construction stage and stepping in the operation stage. I doubt how I can set the KPI for us. I just set my KPI as the numbers of awards that I can get every year. But we can see in long term the benefit of using BIM. We are trying to, we can see there will be some saving or improve the efficiencies. But if we set some fixed indicator for ourselves at this moment, I would say that we're still a learner only. We are yet to be, to find all kind of expert solution for our development process. So in URA, we did set some development plan in using BIM for us. I can share with you later, but not yet to have an indicator for us.
Wilfred? Same UI, same wheels. But I just told a very quick story. I mean, the BIM was promoted by our corporate, supported by the board and top management, and we have awareness lecture. 2 years later, one draftsman under our divisions tell me that he wants to learn more about BIM because he wants to get rid of CAD. Now I'm used Revit to do BIM. So this is not something we schedule. It's something that he look at our corporate development, or 2 projects, 3 projects using BIM. And some of the BIM model can put into another system for other operations. He knows the significance of knowing BIM, and then he drive himself, asks us to, fund his course. So all these, if we set KPI before we really know the KPI will kill the project, to kill the development of BIM. I would say that, for example, if some KPI you don't know, but just like paperless, cost effectiveness. What do you mean by cost effectiveness, paperless? So if we don't understand, we try not to set as a KPI. But looking at the bottom up, how many people, our colleague willing to use BIM in their normal operation? For some site staff, he normally take photo. Now he don't take photo. He look at the iPad and see what kind of stages that the site progress was. So we have to observe our colleague movement, but not really observe our KPI. Of course, award is important because it proves the whole team effort is worth and recognized.
Thank you. Alex?
I echo what the other speakers I mentioned just now about the KPI. In fact, I totally agree that it's very difficult to set an appropriate key performance indicator to measure the effectiveness, in particular attributed by BIM. We have various indicators to measure the performance of a project. Typically, we have the project delivery time, the cost, the quality, etc. All these are related to traditional project management. With BIM, it can help us a lot, as we talk about. But at this moment, we don't have any particular objective measure. But instead, when we justify the application of BIM in our operation, in fact, we usually put a price tag and a benefit to justify our investment in certain technology like BIM. During the application or during our day-to-day operation, we bear in mind that this benefit used to be realized and demonstrated to our staff what really helped them in their day-to-day operation. I think this is more important than the hard figure itself.
Thank you. Ada?
Well, that's a very interesting question. Since you gentlemen are so shy in getting KPIs, may I give you some interesting ones to think about it? How about increasing number of BIM users in your organization in the coming year? And also applying BIM to all your new projects coming on stream in the planning and design stage to 100%. These can be achievable KPIs for you, although you may not be able to measure the real advantage of BIM, but I can assure you there must be advantage. Wearing my hat of a former housing authority colleague, we used to require contractors, building contractors, to apply BIMs for some specific projects that we have in mind. But after a few years, in 2015, we discovered that all the contractors use BIM in their projects, regardless of whether we specify BIM or not. So the industry will learn by itself. So if your colleagues are eager to learn and use it, so be it. So people is a real asset in your organization, and try to cascade it to as many as possible in the teams, and not just a selected handful of them. And talking about CIC, we do have some KPIs. Say, for instance, we have BIM managers, right? We set a target of around 200. And now we've got an application of over 600 to 700. So we exceeded our KPIs per se. So we have to spend resources to digest the bulk of applications that we have in hand. So I think it is not too late to set standards or KPIs. But one thing I would advocate is to count the number of BIM users in your organization. As from the survey Dickson mentioned earlier, we found out that the BIM leaders in Hong Kong have an average of over 13 BIM users in the organization. And the difference between a BIM leader or just a normal BIM adopter is the readiness to use BIM. The adopters would normally require, if my client wants it, I'll do it. And then if government has policy to do it, I will do it. So they react positively. That is not bad. At least they follow. They comply. But the leaders would see the real benefits of using BIM in their organization and go for it, whether or not there's incentives, funds available, they will do it. And then they will derive benefits out of it. And whereas, if I remember, from Wendy's Autodesk awards, in the past, they only give awards to those who apply Autodesk softwares. But today, I can see, well, there's so many of the open BIM. And open BIM is another area, which I was saying, as a KPI, I would like to see more organizations adopting open BIM to facilitate interoperability in BIM applications across different softwares. So we cannot walk alone. And now we're glad to see GIS BIM integration as well with Autodesk and Esri. So I think the world is starting to collaborate and integrate more interactively to the general and the genuine benefits for society. Thank you.
Yeah. So thank you all. Regarding what we mentioned, BIM users absolutely is one way that we can look at it because for a technical circular from the Development Bureau released in December 2019, continue for all the works project would need to actually have, not just have more BIM users, but actually if you pay attention to it, is about earlier involvement. Before it's optional, but now even in feasibility stage, if it's applicable, they encourage their works department to use it. And that goes back to, just like in CLP case or even in all your cases, is that explore more so that your design is the right one. And then actually at the end, there's also operation efficiencies and sustainability evaluation. So focusing is not just more is better, but that it makes bigger impact. So I think that certainly is one. And we believe that actually with the adoption survey is in fact establish something that is Hong Kong industry suitable KPIs and or even government, if we can align that. So rather than we saying we don't really have one, but we have some that we can be sharing across the board that can measure Hong Kong kind of a trajectory much more accurately. So last but not least, question number 5. What is the long-term BIM development plan of your organizations? So maybe from CLP.
CLP is transforming itself into a utility of the future. And we continue to leverage on various advanced technologies to provide smart and green energy services. And in this end, BIM is in fact one of our key focus in the coming few years. And there are a number of development areas that we want to achieve. And some of them, I think we can put up a few points to summarize that. The first one is we continue to the adoption of new technologies for our daily operations and also our projects from planning, design, commissioning, and even extend to operation and maintenance. Mm-hmm. And secondly, we also continue to provide training and development to our staff and also our stakeholders, including our contractors, to enhance the technical competence to cope with the new technologies and to and organizationally in the longer run we put in more resources to set up some sort of a dedicated team to cater for the development and subsequent application of BIM throughout the organization.
Great, thank you. From Wilfred?
I think from the planning and design perspective, we have two areas that we want to explore and put in our roadmap. The first thing I've mentioned before, the integration of the GIS. If we are tasked under the ordinance to deal with the built environment, we need the digital twin. Okay, the digital twin cannot build alone by just using S3 product. Has to be come along with the BIM model, because I think maybe 5 years later, all the OP will go along with a BIM. And with more and more new building we put in the city, eventually the digital twin will comprise a lot of BIM model. So how we can contribute to build the digital twin with the government will be one of our roadmap. The other thing is we learned that Dynamo under one of the software can actually work with the BIM to test out a lot of options. In our rule-based building ordinance, we may be limited by time that we can only come up with a few options. But with more like tools like Dynamo, we may come up with a lot of options that we can actually screen out or help us to develop something we have never think of. So these two areas, in the planning and design perspective, will be our roadmap.
Great, thank you. Yes, Eric?
May not be a long term, but we did set a 3 years plan for my divisions. The 3 years roadmap for us is a platform with normal design and construction adopting the BIM. We have 2 flows of direction. One, we want to develop an BIM FM platform that can cover all our future premises that we were going to keep by URA. So that's why I will see that with a need that we need to systemize our facility management, and that's why it's growing. But based on the same idea, we should explore that BIM FM, can it be applied in a district area covering infrastructure, underground sensors, etc. Not only on the buildings, but in a general sense, in a smart city Hong Kong. We did complete 1 project. In the coming years, we were going to explore to 2 other projects. And that can become a real centralized platform for the headquarters to control 3 to 6 projects, I would say. And that's 1 fold of direction we are thinking, or even implementing. The second, though, is beyond the conventional use of BIM. We, in fact, have this idea 2 years ago to make use of the digital data in the BIM. You can see the BIM, in fact, is the digital data. Now normally we will use the general building plan to make some calculation for us, for statutory submissions, for make use of calculating the area, height, distance, MOE, etc., etc. So when we go into the BIM, rather than a 2D dimension plan, can we make use of the BIM data to help us to generate automatically this kind of data for us? So 2 years ago, we make a first attempt to calculate the sellable area for residential building automatically. This is a real challenge because you will need to find, the computer need to automatically find the boundary of that unit, whether it is in the middle of the wall or it should be calculated from the external face of the wall. We want to avoid the human errors, so that's why we set some rules or plug-in program to the BIM to automatically, with 1 plug, to calculate all the information that we need. So we successfully, after I think it's 9 months, we successfully to make that program. And now we think the same concept can apply to what we normally we need to do is the general building plan, the GFA, heights, port ratio, MOE. This is a lot of calculation in the general building plan. Can we do it automatically if we are going to pursue a BIM submission? So A few months ago, we have a CIC's approval to get R&D funding. And we are hands in hands. We want to pursue this because we will see that will be a big change in Hong Kong building industry if we can do it in an automatic way. I set myself is 2 years I would like to have a prototype. And we will have an actual project to test the prototype, whether it is accurate or not. And then later on, I will quite sure that can pursue the buildings department and can go along with our way.
Great, thank you. Well, though despite of the time, but it's important for Ada from CIC perspective. While you guys have a lot of big plans, but now hearing firsthand from all these these two organizations, what can you supplement or add on to it?
I think we have some very good sharing by two leading client owner organizations today. And for CIC's perspective, we hope to increase the BIM adoption in Hong Kong. Interesting enough, when we have the survey in 2018, it's done by CIC very quickly. And 2019, we engaged consultants to do a scientific survey for us. Interesting enough, each year the findings shows that around 45% of the surveys of those being surveyed adopt BIM. 55% do not adopt BIM. We call it the BIM laggards. So how can we motivate more of these to adopt BIM is one area which I would like to see. So the BIM adoption rate. And then for those adopting BIM, we have BIM leaders and just BIM adopters. We would like to see more of the BIM adopters move on to be the BIM leaders, not only in Hong Kong, but by world-class standards. Okay, so this is one of my wish lists. And for the BIM leaders, I'm glad to say that we have year 2019 as the year of BIM, proclaimed by CIC, after year 2014, which is another year of BIM. And come 2020, so we say, okay, 2019 is gone, so what are we left with? I would say it's a new BIM decade, starting with 2020. And too old is never too old to start learning BIM. And I would challenge those who consider they are old enough to start learning BIM at any age. If you have a life of 120, you can start at 80. There's still a long way to go. And I think BIM is the way forward. And I would like to see Open BIM being adopted. And last year, 2019, I'm very glad to see that Hong Kong has successfully established our Hong Kong chapter of Building Smart International as its 21st chapter in the world. We started, you may say, later than Singapore or maybe UK, but we can move fast. This shows that a tortoise or a turtle can move faster. So we hope that we can increase the breadth and the depth of BIM applications in Hong Kong, increase or build capacity with our people. And people are the most important asset. And I'm looking to a younger generation, the young BIMmer, and also the students. I hope to see that in the future, all the graduates of all universities are BIM literate, or they will come out and demand that their employers will adopt BIM. This is my wish list.
Great.
Thank you.
Thank you. We're running out of time, but then if you allow us for 1 minute of summary, what you've heard, although it's from 3 different organizations, but actually if later on you will all be able to download the report, the summary of the BIM adoption survey, the results. In there is about, yes, insufficient BIM expertise, we recognize that, but let's not just complain about it, but how can we align expertise, just like we all talked about, motivate them so they want to learn. Just we've got some examples. It's never too old to learn too, just like what Ada said. And also, we heard about is, double handling. I have to do this and do that. But the idea is we can do one thing and achieve multiple goals, then it's not double handling. So more BIM-led workflow with cloud technologies, with BIM. It can happen, but it's just about mindset and mentality. And of course, working with government departments, different departments, and private, public, and government coordination. And it's happening too, just to let you know. Finally, but not least at all, is not compliance driven. We have to stop thinking, oh, because you asked me to do, that's why I do it. Because when that happens, you are not really doing it. You are just delivering something that is likely not very useful. So that is something that we need to change to value driven. Also very important that we need to have some best practice, good case studies, and I think CIC would be also going to do that. These may be some good projects coming up the next 2 years. Wonderful. Then coming with KPIs, then different contracts. Maybe not just not paying them, but more important, performance driven. You need to deliver this so that you would have to deliver not just the product, but you need to satisfy these performance-based contract. I think it's something that Hong Kong should also lead the region, even lead the world into really implementing that faster through all this open BIM or even open GIS. Just the idea is to get more stakeholders involved. So once again, thank you all being on stage to share your experience with us. Thank you. And thank you all for staying additional longer to enjoy, and hopefully you can take away some of this to your organization. Thank you.